Hello everyone, I'm Todouiota and today I have a new battle report for you guys. Demons of Chaos played by me versus the Knights of Bretonnia played by TheNight. This battle was filmed in my local club in Leuven, which was quite crowded at the time, so I'm afraid the audio quality is not the best, so I have to do a lot of voiceovers. Warhammer is a very popular game in Belgium. Let's see if the Bretonnian Knights can withstand Khorne's wrath. Hello everyone, today we're playing Old World, 2000 points, Demons of Chaos versus the Kingdom of Bretonnia. I'm playing Demons of Chaos, a Khorne themed army. On my left side is my general, the Bloodthirster. 5 Chaos Furies. They are flamers, but yeah, I don't have the Chaos Furies models yet. A Soul Grinder of Khorne. Blood Crushers. 20 Blood Ladders with a Herald. A level 4 Wizard with Demonology. And a unit of 5 Bloodhounds.
10 Grail Knights with a Paladin as a BSB, full command plus War Banner. 3 Pegasus Knights, full command. 10 Brigands, Princess Border with crossbow. 24 men-at-arms, full command, and also Grail Monk, including his Grelic. My Duke, Royal Pegasus, and then I have 2 units of Knight of the Realms, 2 times 10, but 1 unit has a Prophetess level 4 Wizard included.
Alright, and since the Bretonnians are going to pray, we're going to turn 1 of Demons. The Demon Prince is going to cast the Summoning. He's standing over here and he's going to target this unit of Knight of the Realm. He barely managed to cast the spell, but he did it on a 9. The Prophetess tries to dispel it, but she fails. The Demon Prince rolls 8 hits and he wounds everything. With armor save and ward save combined, still 4 knights die in total. The Duke has to roll a panic test and he rolls an 8, but it doesn't matter since the Duke has a very high leadership. Alright, end of turn 1 of the Demons. I did some shooting with the Demon Prince, killed 4 knights, and the rest all moved up a little bit. The Flashhounds moved from this flank, the Blood Ladders went up, the Skull Crushers went up, Soul Grinder, the Furies came from behind the building and landed over here, and the Bloodthirster is ready for a charge. And now we're going to turn 1 of Bretonnia. The Prophetess is going to start with a Glittering Robe, which she easily casts with 11 on the dice roll. The Demon Prince tries to dispel it, but he fails it with a double 5. The Grail Knights are going to charge the Bloodthirster. The Grail Knights roll a 6, which is more than enough to get into range with the Bloodthirster, even without Swift Stride. The Brigands are unleashing their arrows on the Blood Crushers. In total 10 shots, he managed to hit 3 times, but did not wound. The Prophetess is going to cast a Magical Vortex right in front of the Demon Prince. She gets a 11 in total, and the Demon Prince rolls 13 in total, which means that the spell is dispelled. Then the Prophetess is going to cast Mind Razor on the Flashhounds. The Prophetess rolls very high, and only with a double 6 can the Demon Prince dispel it, but he does not. Flashhounds have to make a leadership test, but they fail it, which means D3 plus 3 hits. He rolled a 4, which is 2 hits, plus 3 makes 5 hits in total. Strength 4, so they wound on 4s, but he only managed to make 1 wound. The Flashhounds suffer 1 automatic wound since it's a magical attack. That means that they cannot make their will save because of Warp Spawned. The Bloodthirster issued a challenge and the Paladin has stepped forward. Since the Paladin charged, the Paladin and the Bloodthirster are going at the same time since they have the same initiative. The Paladin has 3 attacks and he hits on 4s. Unfortunately, he only makes 1 hit and he does not wound. The Bloodthirster has weapon skill 10, so that means he hits on 2s. And because of the blood fail, he also wounds on 2s. Because he has strength 8. In total he scores 3 wounds, which are also 3 armor banes. He fails his armor save, but with his ward save he manages to save 2 of the 3 wounds. He suffers D3 wounds, becomes 2 wounds, which is enough to kill the Paladin. The Bloodthirster still lost combat because the Knights have 2 banners and 1 rank. He rolled a 6 for his leadership, which is okay, so he just gives ground this turn.
So we move on the left side a bit closer in order to set up a charge for the next round. The combat on the right side, that we won, but we did lose our Paladin, including our BSB.
The Demon Prince is going to start with casting Demonic Vessel on himself, and he rolled an 11. The Prophetess successfully dispelled it by rolling 15 in total. Then he's going to try to cast Demonic Vigor also on himself and rolls a 12 in total. Again, the Prophetess manages to dispel this. The Flesh Hounds are charging the Knights Errant. The Demon Prince is charging the left unit of Knights. The Blood Crushers are charging the Men-at-Arms. The Knights are obviously going to counter-charge, and the first unit rolls a 6. So they move up 4 inches. The other unit rolled a 3, so they move 3 inches forward. And the Men-at-Arms are going to hold. The Flesh Hounds roll a 5, which is more than enough to make the charge. The Demon Prince rolls a 6 with his fly that becomes 15, which is also enough to make the charge. The Blood Crushers also roll a 6, then they roll a 5 for Swift Stride, and so they also make the charge. The Soul Grinder moved upwards. He did go through the swamp but did not get a wound from dangerous terrain. Now he's going to shoot his brave shot into the Pegasus Knights. The Soul Grinder only gets 2 shots, and he also managed to not wound 1. The Pegasus Knight easily saves it. We're going to start with this combat. The Bloodthirster is going first with 7 attacks. In total he deals 4 wounds on the unit. The Knights make 1 armor save, but they fail all of their war saves, so 3 Knights die. 2 Knights are eligible to strike back at the Bloodthirster. They got 5 attacks in total, they get 3 hits in, but they do not wound them. The Bloodthirster wins this combat by 1. The Knights roll a 7, which is below their leadership, so they just give ground. The second combat is between the Blood Crushers and the Men-at-Arms. First, the Bloodletters on top of the Crushers. They have 4 attacks in total and they hit on 2s. In total they deal 3 wounds. The Man-at-Arms need 6s to save, but he does not make any. Then the Juggernauts themselves have 6 attacks, they hit everything and they also wound everything. Since 10 Man-at-Arms died in total, the first rank cannot attack, except for the Champion who has 2 attacks. Together with the back rank that makes 7 attacks in total. They only make 1 attack and that one also doesn't wound. The Men-at-Arms are stubborn, so once per game they can fall back in good order. Men-at-Arms go 5 inch backwards, but the Blood Crushers got 7. So they will follow up and are still in combat. Next up is the battle between the Demon Prince and the other Knights of the Realm. The Demon Prince charged, so he's going first and he's going to cast Demonic Familiars. And since he rolled a double 6, it means it cannot be dispelled. For the number of hits, the Demon Prince rolled 8. Of those 8 he wounds 4, so that means 4 6+ war saves and no armor saves, since that's not allowed against Demonic Familiars. The Knights fail to save any, that means that 4 Knights die. Then the Demon Prince is going to strike with his sword. He has 5 attacks which hits on 3s. In total he deals 3 wounds on the Knights. He makes 1 of his armor saves, but he does not make the 2 other war saves, which means 2 Knights die, and so the unit gets wiped. The Demon Prince decides to overrun and then reform at the end of its overrun move. The final combat of this round is between the Flesh Hounds and the other unit of Knights. Because of Glittering Rope, the Flesh Hounds only strike on 4 pluses. They do deal 3 wounds in total. The Knights make 1 armor save, but then with their war saves they make the remaining 2, saving all wounds in total. The Knights strike back, hitting on 4s and wounding on 2s, but unfortunately he rolled 5 ones. The Flesh Hounds make 1 of their 5+ war saves. Then finally the Horses with 8 attacks. Unfortunately they are not able to make any wounds. The Knights win the combat by 3, so that means that everything above 4 is wounds for the Flesh Hounds. This results in 1 more Flesh Hound dying and the other one having 1 wound left, and then they have to give ground. Alright, the end of turn 2 of Demons. A pretty good turn. Killed a couple of Knights over here, killed 3 of them. Tried to shoot a little bit with the Soul Grinder, but unfortunately missed everything. We won combat over here against the Men of Arms and we followed up. The Demon Prince completely destroyed that 1 unit. He is a menace, but he might get charged next turn. And the Warhounds lost combat over there and they gave ground. And the Knights did not follow up so that they can charge in the next turn. Now we're going to turn 2 of Bretonnia. Glittering Rope on the same unit. That's 9. Dispel Tent of the Demon Prince. 7+4, yes, he did it. The Pegasus Knights are going to charge the Soul Grinder. They roll a 4 and a 2 for Swift Stride, which is 6 in total. To base contact with the Soul Grinder. Range with the Soul Grinder. The Duke charging the Demon Prince. With a 5 and his flight, that's more than enough to get into range of the Demon Prince. The Knights are charging the Flesh Hounds, and the Flesh Hounds are going to countercharge. The crossbow men are going to shoot at the Furies. He needs 6s followed by 4s, and then to wound he needs a 3, but he misses them unfortunately and only gets 1 wound. Starting with the first combat between the Fleshhounds and the Knights, the Prophetess is going to cast Spectral Doppelganger. She makes it, and then we're going to try a Fated Dispel, but was not enough, so Spectral Doppelganger is cast. Small correction, since the Fleshhounds have magical resistance 2, that means he had to get an 11, which he did not get with a 9, and so there's no Spectral Doppelganger. So the Fleshhounds are going first. They hit on 3s, they wound on 2s, and they inflict 2 wounds on the Knights. The Knights make 1 armor save, but they fail their ward save, so 1 wound comes through. Knights hit on 4s, but he rolls terrible and only gets 1 hit. He does make 1 wound. The Fleshhounds do not make their ward save. 6 attack of the horses, and they hit a lot better than the Knights themselves. Fortunately, they only managed to inflict 1 wound. Fleshhounds try to make another ward save, but again they fail. Again the Knights win by 2, so everything above 4 is wounds, and by rolling 6 that means 2 more wounds on the Fleshhounds. Very important combat is that one between the Duke and the Demon Prince. The Duke is going first because he charged, so he has initiative 8. He hit on 4s and he wounds on 2s, but he only manages to inflict 1 wound. The Demon Prince fails its ward save. Royal Pegasus is also going first. He hits on 4s and wounds on 4s and manages to inflict 2 wounds on the Demon Prince. With his 5+ armor save he makes 1 of the 2 wounds, and with his 4+ ward save he makes the other one. Demon Prince is going to cast Demonic Familiars on the Duke, but oh my god, he rolled a double 1, so that means a miscast. The Demon Prince rolls a 10 on the miscast table, which is arguably the best result, which means the spell is still cast on Perfect Invocation, but he just cannot cast any more spells this turn. The Demon Prince rolls 5 hits in total. He only wounds on 6s, but he manages to roll 2, so that means 2 wounds without armor saves. The Duke fails both of his ward saves. With his normal attacks, the Demon Prince manages to deal 1 more extra wound. This one is however saved by the Duke. Pegasus tries to stomp, but he fails them both. Since we did each other 2 wounds, that means the challenge is still ongoing and the combat is a draw. Pegasus have charged the Soul Grinder, and they are going first, hitting the Soul Grinder on 3s. The Knights hit on 4s and they wound on 4s, and they score 3 wounds in total. The Soul Grinder saves 1 wound with his ward save. The Pegasus themselves hit on 4s and they only wound on 6s, so no wounds are rolled. The Soul Grinder is going to strike back. He has 4 attacks that hit on 4s, but he only gets 1 hit. The 1 hit does wound though on a 2. The Pegasus Knight makes it save with its 5+ ward save. The Soul Grinder rolls 5 for his Thunderstorm attacks and he wounds them all on a 2+. Pegasus Knight save 1 with their armor save and another one with their ward save. The Soul Grinder wins the combat by 2, the Pegasus Knight rolled a 4 in total, which is below the leadership, so they only give ground. The Soul Grinder is going to follow up. The next combat is the one between the Bloodthirster and the Knights. The Bloodthirster is going first with 7 attacks, and these 4 also all wound. The Knights make 1 of their armor saves and also 1 of their ward saves, so that means that 2 more Knights die. The Knights strike back on 4s and they only wound on 6s, but the Knight rolls 3 6s. The Bloodthirster makes 1 of the saves with its armor and the other one with its ward save, so that means that 1 wound comes through. The Knights still win combat by 1 because of their Musician. Bloodthirster rolls an 8 on his Demonic Instability test, which is okay, so he just has to give ground. Next up is the ongoing combat between the Blood Crushers and the Men at Arms. The letters on top of the Blood Crushers are going first. They have 4 attacks in total and they score 2 wounds. The Men-at-Arms fail their save, so that means that 2 Men-at-Arms die. Then the Juggernauts themselves, they hit on 4s and they wound on 2s, so they score 4 wounds in total. The Men-at-Arms are going to strike back at the Blood Crushers. The Men-at-Arms only hit on 5s because the Blood Crushers have weapon skill 5. With their halberds, the Men-at-Arms need 4s to wound and they score 4 wounds. The Blood Crushers make 1 save with the armor save, but fail to make any saves with the ward save. So that means that 1 of the Blood Crushers dies. The Men-at-Arms lose combat and they have to roll a break test. They rolled an 8, so they have to fall back in good order, and the Blood Crushers are going to follow up.
Left side, we won combat, killed another beast, ready to charge again. The Duke was in a stalemate once again with the Wizards. Center we lost 6 Men-at-Arms, but we were able to fall back just on the edge of the battlefield. Pegasus Knights got decimated, lost 2, but was able to wound also the machine. Here a small victory, losing 2 Knights against 1 wound for the Demon.
Once again, the Demon Prince is going to cast Demonic Vessel on himself. He rolls a 4, which is unfortunately not enough to cast the spell. The Chaos Furies are going to charge the archers. The Flash Hound is charging the knights. First off, a stand and shoot of the archers on the Chaos Furies. 6s and then 4s. On 4s. 1. And the 1 arrow comes through with a 3 to wound. The Chaos Furies are going to charge. They roll a 6 first and then a 3 on their Swiss strike, so that's maximum distance, which is enough to make the charge. Back again between the Bloodthirster and the Knights. The Bloodthirster is going first once again. In total he scores 6 wounds out of his 7 attacks. The Knights make 2 armor saves, but they fail all of their war saves, which means that 3 more Knights die. The one lonely Knight that still remains is going to strike back at the Bloodthirster. He scores 1 hit, but he fails to wound. The Knight rolls a 10 on his break test, which is too much, so he's going to flee. The Bloodthirster is going to follow. The Knight rolls a 6, and then with the Swift Strike he rolls another 4, so he runs away 10. The Bloodthirster tries to pursue, but he rolls a 9, so he doesn't manage to catch the Knight. The next combat is between the Soul Grinder and the Pegasus Knight. Pegasus Knight is going first. He hits on 4s, so he gets 1 hit, and he wounds on 6s, which he does not. Then the Pegasus itself is going to strike. It needs a 4, but rolls a 3, so it doesn't hit. Then the Soul Grinder is going to strike back, but he misses 3 of his 4 attacks. He wounds on 2s, but also that one he fails. The Soul Grinder still has a Thunderstomp left, d6 plus 1, and he rolls a 6, so 7 Thunderstomp attacks. Again wounding on 2s, and he gets 5 wounds in. The Pegasus Knight fails all of its armor saves and only manages to make 2 war saves, which is too little, so the Pegasus Knight dies. Chaos Furies that have charged the archers are going first. They hit on 3s and they manage to do 8 wounds. The archers have no armor, so 8 archers die. The 2 remaining archers are going to strike back with their bows. They hit once and they also inflict 1 wound. The Furies have a 5+ war save, but they fail its save, so 1 of the Furies dies. The archers have to make a break test and they fail miserably, so they're going to flee. The Furies are going to pursue. The archers run away 9 inch and the Furies pursue with 10 inch. That's more than enough to capture them, and so the archers have been wiped out. Back again at the combat between the Blood Crushers and the Men-at-Arms. The ladders are going first and they have 3 attacks. But with a double 1 they don't inflict any wounds. The Juggernauts are going to strike, but even they fail at hitting and also do not inflict any wounds. The Men-at-Arms are striking back. They hit terrible and also wound quite bad. They only inflict 1 wound. The Juggernauts fail their armor save, but they do make their ward save. The Men-at-Arms win combat by 1. The Blood Crushers roll a 4, which is okay, so they're just going to give ground. The Demon Prince and the Duke are still fighting a challenge. The Demon Prince is going to start with casting Demonic Familiars. The Knight is going to try his fate at this spell, but he rolls too low, so the spell is cast. The Demon Prince rolls 6 hits in total and scores 2 wounds. The Duke, who definitely has been blessed by the lady, manages to save them both on a double 6 on his ward save. 5 attacks of his Demonic Sword, hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s. The Duke makes 2 of his armor saves, and the other 2 wounds he manages to save with his war save. The Duke is using his magical greatsword. He scores 2 hits and he also manages to wound them both. The Demon Prince fails both of his war saves, and since it is multiple wounds too, the Demon Prince has died. The remaining Flesh Hound is trying desperately to get some wounds in. He only manages to inflict 1 wound, which the Knights make not with their armor save but with their ward save. The Knight attacking the Hound, inflicting 2 wounds. The Flesh Hound fails its ward save, so that means that it has died. Right, end of turn 3 of the Demons. Not a very good turn for the Demons. This is the only thing that went well, but I didn't manage to catch him when he fled away. Killed the Archers, actually that's also pretty good. Killed the Pegasus Knight, that was also pretty good. Lost combat here, but didn't get any wounds, fortunately. I turned them around so that I can brace for impact. Lost my Demon Prince and lost the Hounds. So we're going to turn 3 of Bretonnia. The Prophetess fails to cast Glittering Robe. The Duke is going to charge the Soul Grinder. The Knight of the Realm are going to charge the Blood Ladders. The Men-at-Arms are charging the Blood Crushers. The Duke needs to roll at least a 6. He first rolls a 4, so that means he needs to roll a 2. But unfortunately, he rolls a 1, so he misses the charge. The Blood Herald has issued a challenge, but the champion did not accept, which means he has to go to the back row and he cannot fight for this turn. The Knights, however, are going first. The Knights have 5 attacks in total. They hit everything and they also wound everything, so 5 wounds in total. With their 5+ war save, the Blood Ladders save 2 wounds. Then the horses, they're going to bite and stomp the Blood Ladders. Unfortunately for the horses, they deal no wounds. The prophetess in the unit is going to cast Spectral Doppelganger, rolls an 8 with 4, that's 12 in total. I tried my Fateful Dispel, but I didn't make it. The prophetess rolls 6 hits in total, but only inflicts 2 wounds on the unit. The Blood Letters save 1 by their 6+ armor save, but they are not allowed any ward save since it's a magical attack. First up is the Blood Herald, who has 3 attacks. He scores 1 wound. The Knights try to save it, but it fails both its armor save and its ward save. Then only the champion and 1 other Blood Letter is allowed to hit. They hit on trees and they wound on trees, so they make 3 wounds in total. The Cleaving Blow and the other 2 wounds are all saved by the ward save of the Knights. The Knights were in combat by 2, the Letters roll a 7 with their leadership of 7 and demonic favor 1. They don't lose any wounds, but they still have to give ground. The combat between the Men-at-Arms and the Blood Crushers. The Men-at-Arms are going first since they charged and they hit on 5s. They wound on 4s, but they don't inflict any wounds. Then the Letters are going to strike back, 3 attacks hitting on 2s and wounding on 3s. At the same time I'm going to do the Blood Crushers. They hit on 3s and they wound on 2s and they inflict 3 wounds in total. So in total 5 Men-at-Arms have perished. The Men-at-Arms have to make a break test. They roll a 6, so they fall back in good order. The Blood Crushers are going to try to restrain and reform. The Men-at-Arms, being so close at the edge of the battlefield, actually run off the table. The Blood Crushers, however, fail their restraint test and also go after them off the table. They will be back next turn.
We charged, were able to kill 4, losing 1 knight. The general tried to charge but failed his charge and was miserably flanked. We lost the Men-at-Arms. They got pushed off the battlefield. The only lucky thing is that 2 units pursued and also need to reform next turn. And then we were able to, with leadership role, reorganize with the final Grail Knight.
The Bloodthirster standing in front of the Lonely Knight. The Bloodthirster's going first with 7 attacks. He wounds the Knight 4 times. The Knight fails his armor save and his ward save. The Bloodthirster makes his restraint check, so he's going to reform on the spot. The Soul Grinder's going to use his Grape Shot ability on the Duke. However, of his 4 shots he doesn't manage to wound anything. Once again, the Herald issued a challenge. However, the Knights did not accept. So that means that the Herald is just going to vent his frustration on the unit. The Knight saved it with a 6. Hitting with the rest on trees. Wounding on trees. 2 Knights dying. The Knights are going to strike back, but they only manage to inflict 1 wound. The Letters do not make the armor save, but they do make the save with the war save. Once again, the Prophetess is going to cast Spectral Doppelganger on the unit. She needs a 10 because of Magical Resistance 1. However, she does not make the spell. The Knights have to make a break test. They lose combat by 2. They roll a 9, which means that they have to give ground. The Blood Letters are going to follow up. The Knights fall back 6 inches and the Blood Letters pursue for 7 inches, which means they are once again locked in combat. End of turn 4 of the Demons. Pretty decent turn. Killed the last remaining Knight. Came back with these 2 units on the table. Did not manage to deal any wounds on the Duke. 1 combat over here. Followed up, so it is counting as a charge. Prophetess cast Glittering Rope on herself on a 10, so I need to roll 11. No, she got it. The Duke has to make a fear test, which is no problem. The Duke is using his special ability to get D3 extra attacks. He gets 6 extra attacks. With his 7 attacks in total, he deals 3 wounds. Soul Grinder is not allowed any war saves, which means he has 1 wound remaining. Royal Pegasus managed to deal 1 wound on Soul Grinder, which the Soul Grinder saves with his 5+ armor. One mistake, the weapon deals multiple wounds, so that means that the Soul Grinder is dead. Back to this combat between the Letters and the Knights. I made a mistake, I forgot I have the Skull Totem, which gives the Letters Furious Charge, so they have 1 extra attack. Going first with the Herald, who has 4 attacks. The Herald deals 2 wounds in total. The Knights make 1 armor save but fail the ward save. The other Blood Letters hitting on 4s, dealing 5 wounds to the Knights. Unfortunately, a very bad roll on both saves kills 3 more Knights. The Letters win combat by 6. They roll an 8 on their leadership, which means they have to fall back in good order and the Letters are going to pursue. The Knights fall 5 inches back and the Letters only roll a 4, which means that the Letters actually don't manage to catch up to them.
So we lost another 3 Knights here in the combat. We're able to disengage, but it's his next turn, so probably combat will ensue. We're able to kill and take the center, and we're able to restrain and pivot towards the threat. And that's about it.
Yeah, so turn 5 of Demons. Charging the Duke. Counter charge.
Yes, indeed.
Nice. Maximum. 5 plus 4. So we definitely get into base contact with each other. Well, this is an automatic charge, and he cannot counter charge because I'm infantry. So combat between the Bloodcrushers and the Duke. Number of extra attacks. So 2 extra. He chose to go double-handed, so I'm going first. With the 3 attacks, the ladders on top managed to deal 1 wound.
4 up.
Juggernauts, force, 1 wound AP minus 2. No, 1 wound. And now he's going to strike back. In total, the Duke deals 3 wounds on the Juggernauts, which they can't save because of their warp spawned ability. So 1 dies and 1 has 1 wound remaining. And then the Pegasus. The Pegasus deals 1 more extra wound on the Crushers. The Crushers failed their armor save and war save, so the last Crusher dies. The Duke wants to restrain, but he rolls a 10, so that is actually too much and he has to overrun. By doing so, he rolls another 10, which means he actually goes off the board and he will be back on the table next turn. So in the ensuing combat between the ladders and the knights, the champion has been slain by the herald. There's 1 knight remaining, so a break test has to be rolled. Which was a 10, so that means fleeing. He rolls a double 6 to run away. The ladders roll a 10, so they actually cannot get to the unit and also cannot catch the prophetess, which was still hiding in the unit. End of turn 5 of the Demons. I lost my blood crushers, but the general was very zealous and he overrun off the table. So he can't charge next turn, that's interesting. Over here the ladders have won combat and the prophetess fled away. They tried to catch up with her, but they didn't manage to catch her. So we're going to turn 5 of Bretonnia. Prophetess is going to cast the Column of Crystal, trying to stay away from the Blood Ladders. However, she actually doesn't manage to cast the spell. The Bloodthirster is going to charge the Duke. The Duke is going to countercharge. The Bloodthirster rolls a 2 and then for Swift Stride a 5, so he goes 17 in total. Most important battle of this battle, Duke versus Bloodthirster. Initiative 10 versus Initiative 10. So the Duke is going to roll first. 1 wound, AP minus 1, 6 plus armor. Oh, we got it. D3 impact hits. 3, so on 3s, 2 wounds. The Duke makes 1 armor save and he also makes 1 war save. Then it's time for the Bloodthirster to strike back, who has 8 attacks in total, inflicting 5 wounds. The Knight rolls 4 1s on his armor save. Oh my god, what a disaster. But then once again he makes all his saves with his war saves, rolling everything above 5. The Pegasus doesn't manage to wound with his normal attacks and also doesn't wound with his stomp attacks. Against the Prophetess, the Blood Ladders roll 1 cleaving blow, which the Prophetess doesn't save, so she has been killed instantly. We have arrived at the final battle of the game. The Bloodthirster versus the Duke. The Bloodthirster is going first and scores 3 wounds in total. The Duke is first going to try to save the first 2 wounds, which are normal ones, and he saves 1 with his armor save, but he doesn't save the other one with his war save. Since it's the Flail of Skulls, it deals D3 wounds, dealing 3 wounds in total, killing the Duke. With the death of the Duke, the Bretonnians have been routed, and a victory for the Demons has been secured. Hello everyone, just a quick afterword. The video took way longer than I expected, since I had to do so much voiceovering, and that's why I was only able to upload the video now. Also now when I look back at the last fight between the Bloodthirster and the Duke, I'm actually not sure if the Bloodthirster was able to see the Duke, so perhaps, well, the charge was impossible. So that was maybe a mistake on my part. Anyway, I do think we would have ended up fighting each other, so anyway, I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time in the world of legends. Until then.